So, yes, four stages of the life. The Eastern wisdom beautifully defines and understands the four stages of the life. We are just born, we grow, we are always curious to know what the world looks like, what the pleasure looks like. By default, we may be liking a candy as a baby, but gradually that knowledge grows in us. So we find the pleasure and the happiness in the toys, in storybooks, in the knowledge, in sensuality. So that very pleasure, seeking pleasure, remains the same. How to regulate that life? So our master speaks that we should take a shelter. In the first stage of life, we have to take a shelter in the knowledge. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of who am I, based on the teachings, and also the knowledge of the world. Knowledge of the world leads to skill sets. You learn physics, you become a physicist. You learn engineering. These are the skill sets, the knowledge that can be applied properly in the world outside. So one hand, my mind and intellect grows. On the other side, the skill sets that helps me for my wealth in order to fulfill the desire. So knowledge is the supreme, that is the first stage of the life. So two types of knowledge. Knowledge for the self, it has nothing to do with the skill set. It has to do with the self-discovery. From there, all these different traditions and schools have originated, whether you say yoga aims at self-discovery, meditation, mindfulness, mantra, etc., etc. But at the same time, I should also be learning the skill sets, the knowledge of the outer world of a different profession. Second stage of the life would be to apply the knowledge, that skill sets, with the knowledge of the self, how the self inside responds, or to allow the self to respond and live with the profession, with the family life, with my personal life, with my social life. That is the second stage of our life. Look at those young guys, young kids who are going to the school. They don't care anything about the society, even the parents. They want their desire to be fulfilled. The very first stage of what we say education, knowledge. But that stage of the life, if direction is given properly, let us know who you are, with the reasoning, with the clarity. So what happens when they enter into the second stage of life, that is family, professional and social life, they will remain free from stress. So once we live our family life and the professional life and the social life with the calm and the peace, working hard, putting those skill sets into action, what is going to happen? The mind and the intellect will be purified. That is the term used by our masters. Means I have to live my family, professional and social life, performing all the actions. Goal is, what is the goal inside? The purification of the mind. I'm fulfilling my desire in the family life, but I'm aware how many times I have repeated the same pleasure. There is no pleasure here. So mind calms down. Mind uses those things. Third stage of the life. Now I have experiences. I have experiences of pleasure, of pain, of challenges, of difficulty. I bring back the knowledge of the self. I take shelter into what we say vanaprastha. Normally vanaprastha is understood as forest dwellers, but that means that now I have to live.
Please look at the screen.
I have to live. Let me see that what it looks like to living beyond the world in solitude. Why in solitude? To contemplate and reflect on the knowledge that I have gained in the first stage. Let me apply. Let me be very clear. Let me see if I can live free from all these pleasure-seeking objects. What is going to happen? It gives a maturity. It gives you a wisdom. And you are ready for the last stage of the life. Last stage of the life is the life of a self-discovery. So either we can understand based on the stages of the life, or we can incorporate all the 4 stages in everyday life. Because the masters have not made it mandatory that no, first you have a stage of the life is the knowledge and then we will think of something else. No. It is not mandatory. Can we incorporate the 4 stages of the life every day? With that 4 stages of the life, we have the 4 groups of desires: knowledge, fulfillment of desire as a social, family, and the professional person, and then we withdraw ourselves completely internally every day for some time to see, to examine, to check, to reflect what has happened today based on the knowledge about the self-discovery that we have. So what is going to happen? The intellect becomes clear, the mind is already purified. That intellect inspires you to meditate, and you always succeed in meditation. Then the third point is the instrument. The body is an instrument. We have to find out what is its limitation, what is its downward and upward movement, how we can keep this body helping the ultimate goal of our life. Then energy is the second instrument, what we say the prana, that pervades the whole body, that helps the mind, that helps the body. How to remain at a peak level of energy, or what happens when this energy goes down, that affects all kinds of life. You cannot study, you cannot gain the knowledge, you cannot go to work. Third is the mind. What is the downward and the upward movement of the mind? What is how the intellect should grow and how the ego should be dealt with. These are the 5 instruments we use every day in almost in every activity of our life. So now see that if you have a perfect balance between the instruments that we are using and its limitations, the 4 groups of desire, and the life of knowledge, paramount importance, life of contemplation and reflection, very important, life of meditation, very important, and once you integrate all the 3, start working in life carefree, happiness. The journey becomes a joy of conscious living.